18-week-old puppy and our 5-month-old kitten are here with me. So if you hear any craziness, that's them probably. They may make an appearance. I'm going to give it a minute here. We are talking today. So we're talking about how leaders' well-being impacts productivity. And I have a couple of great research articles that my colleague, Dr. Marissa Rescott, has found on the topic of productivity. And there's been some really interesting evidence that have come from these articles and some of the research around productivity and leadership well-being. So just to let you all know, we are doing LinkedIn Lives and Lives once a month. And with that comes an article that we post on our newsletter, Your Business is Your Health is Your Business newsletter, which is on LinkedIn as well as our website. We'll have the article on our website as well, movement-rx.com. Now, a couple announcements. We have a retreat coming up in May at the Glen Erie Castle in Colorado Springs. It's for leaders who really want to accelerate their habit formation. Come to find out, having a set aside time to work on health habits, well-being skills, as well as connect with other people who are doing the same is really important for change. It's really hard to change in the midst of normal routines, right? There has to be a big event. That's why New Year's resolutions, Mondays, birthdays are kind of really times of change. So if you're a leader out there looking to accelerate your health habits, make the investment in yourself and check out our retreat. And I believe Dr. Marissa Rescott's in the chat, so on LinkedIn. So Marissa, if you can drop the retreat in the chat, that would be awesome. Now let's get into it. How leaders' well-being impacts productivity. Well, first of all, I always like to start with a story. My productivity has been impacted significantly. I'm a leader in my space, in the health and well-being space. And I used to run, for those of you who've known me for a while, right? We ran a physical therapy. Movement RX was a physical therapy practice out in San Diego. And we had a clinic downtown as well as pop-up clinics around San Diego and even some in LA. But the clinics were, I did what I thought we were supposed to do as PTs, is open up clinics, work with people on their rehab, prehab, sports performance. But at the end of the day, I didn't really like it. And I did bring on a team that loved one-on-one PT care, but didn't really have a vision for more, right? And obviously the leader needs to have a clear vision, and I didn't have a clear vision for our company, which means the people I brought on also didn't have a clear vision for what they wanted. Yes, they were being PTs, they were doing their PT work, but where were we going? And you better believe it impacted our productivity, and it impacted how I treated my employees, the lack of clarity, the lack of liking what I did, feeling like I was just checking a box and this is what I should be doing. And actually, because I was a performance-focused PT, it was pretty cool. Like I was doing what, PTs wanted to do, be in the sports performance space. I'd created that space, created the opportunity for myself, yet I didn't like it in the end. But I wouldn't have known I didn't like it had I not tried it. There's that growth mindset piece that's really important. When you look back at decisions you made or things you did, instead of saying, man, why did I do that? It's more, oh, how did I learn from that experience? Anyway, that time in my life, that basically from 2012 to 2016, there was a lot of things up in the air. I didn't like the direction I was going with the company, my own company. It affected how I treated others, to include my family, to include myself. Didn't have clarity. Productivity was down the drain, right? We were seeing patients, but the company was just getting by. Until I realized in 2016, there was a turning point when we were asked to do some corporate wellness for the naval base out in California. And that's when we started to develop programs for organizations. It was also in a beautiful way. At the same time, one of the colleagues I work with told me military veterans weren't really his thing, which was an open door for me to say goodbye to him and hello to opportunities within the veteran and military, because that is a very important group for me to work with. And the current company that I keep, people that work for me, that's also really important to them. And that became that moment in 2016, this time period became very clear to me that military, veterans, business owners, leaders were who we needed to serve, right? That they're the tip of the spear individuals, 1% of our population, but that 1% that needed to be served, along with other leaders and business owners out there, right? So that there with that clarity became, okay, now I need a team to support that, and I need a business to support that. But with the clarity, it was easier to build the business and to take part in the business. And with that clarity also came, it was easier for me to perform self-care, doing things like paying attention to my sleep, movement, what I ate, like how I trained my mind. All of those things came hand in hand, because if I didn't dial in my well-being, then the new clarity and vision wouldn't last. Right? So in order to make that clarity, that vision, and that business last, I had to take care of myself. And if I take care of myself, I'm setting an example for my people, for my family, right? And they feed off of that. And that's also a way we've been able to attract talent, is because well-being is such an important part of our workplace culture. In the beginning, it wasn't that way. So I share that with you because while I can want and talk about being well and leading and running a company and growing a company, I need to live it. I need to be the example for my people and show my passion and show my clarity. My people need my clarity, and I need their clarity too. But it comes from me. It comes from me and the leadership team in my company to have that clarity first. And so what I want to share with you today is how leadership well-being impacts productivity. And I want to share a couple of research articles first, and we're just going to spend about 15 minutes together here. So, and thanks to Dr. Marissa, she found some great research here. So one of them I've been sharing in some of the keynotes I've been giving is around, there was a study done in 2018 in Italy, and 5% of an organization they studied meditated. I'm going to really try to keep it super simple. They were meditating. They meditated for actually 3 months at the same time each day. But the rest of the interesting thing is the rest of the company did not know that this part of their company, this part of their employee staff, was meditating. So while this very small percentage, it was 5% of the staff, was meditating, the other staff didn't know, but went about their day. Now, what they found some great results in the people that were meditating, clearly, right? If you look up research on meditation, it's pretty outstanding in terms of calm, respond versus reacting, feeling better about how you use your time, all that stuff. But the most exciting findings was with the employees who were not meditating. So in mood measures, the non-meditating employees scored lower on metrics of depression, dejection, anger, hostility after their coworkers underwent the meditation trainings. And the thing is, they didn't even know that their colleagues were meditating. They just experienced the benefits, the social contagion of their fellow coworkers meditating, and they didn't even know it. So as for the overall well-being of the non-meditators, they measured improvements in their self-reported social functioning and the extent to which emotional problems interfered with their work. So the bottom line is not only did the organization's productivity and quality control metrics benefit from a small percentage of their workforce training in meditation, but meaningful differences were measurable across the entire workforce, even if they were not part of the group of meditators, because the non-meditators had no idea that their managers were meditating. And actually that 5% were managers. So that's actually an important thing here. Why? So there's this concept of social contagion, right? That 5% of managers, leaders in the workplace spent time on working on their neck up training, right? Meditation. That impacted everyone else around them, their coworkers. What that shows us is that how leaders show up and are emotionally intelligent neck up, which doesn't just happen overnight, it takes training, impacts everyone around them. Hence, practicing meditation, practicing mindfulness, deep breathing is extremely powerful, not just for your own well-being, but for your work, your coworkers' well-being and the growth of your organization. So another research article was done in China. So this one was also in 2018. Thank you, Dr. Marissa. So the researchers in this one first used interviewing to determine the biggest challenges in managerial roles. 62% of the managers reported that personal organization, task prioritization, personal relationships, and identifying managing others' emotions as the most stressful parts of their job. Now, having spoken to many business leaders over the course of the last number of months, this is true, right? Expectations, fear of missing out, always needing to be prepared. Where do you spend your time, especially in those companies that have collaborative cultures, like knowing that participation is important, but knowing that you also have responsibilities at your home, in your business, and you can't be part of everything. That is stressful, right? I get that. That is why clarity of what you do matters so much. Clarity of mission and vision, expectations, all of those things are super important to your well-being. So 64, what they found is 64% of the managers found that they were better able to organize their work and better able to prioritize tasks. And this was after a mindfulness-based intervention. So they did a mindfulness-based intervention, and it was over the course of, looks like 4 months. And these managers had 3 to 6 years of experience, at least 3 to 6 years of experience. So they underwent about 4 months of mindfulness-based intervention. 64% of the managers found that they were better able to organize their work and better able to prioritize their tasks. They endorsed the usual effects of mindfulness, being less stressed, less on edge, being able to relax, but also improvement in efficiency and improved ability to distribute project work. That's huge. I actually just shared this with one of the business leaders I've spoken to, because this is exactly the problem he's having with his leadership team. Now, 45% of the managers spoke of improved ability to listen to their team. How many of you actually take the time to listen to your team, to identify team members' emotions, to pause before reacting, and to professionally communicate in conflict, not to conflict. Professionally communicate in conflict. Respond versus react. Being able to listen. Being thoughtful about a growth-minded response versus a fixed-minded response, right? Or a quick response versus a more thought-out response. These improvements are directly related to the most stressful and important features of managerial work. That is true. All right. So there have been a bunch of other research as well around exercise and improvement of productivity. So there was one, I'll read this. It was a Danish research group. So they were in this research group, they were allowed to use 1 hour of work time per week to do supervised exercise at work, including a combo of cardio for people who had cardiac risk factors and functional strength training for those who had musculoskeletal pain or orthopedic type pain that focus on neck, shoulders, core, and big muscle groups like squat, lunges, and bridges, glute bridges. They did this from about 10 to 52 weeks, depending on the workplace, and usually divided the hour into 2 to 3 sessions per week. As you would expect, exercising at work reduced neck pain in office workers, technicians, cleaners, dentists, and fighter pilots. In people with pain levels higher than 3, so they're looking at the scale of 0 to 10, in people with pain levels higher than 3, it cut their pain nearly in half. Ask yourself, what would that mean for you if you were to cut your pain in half? The more they participated, the more their pain dropped. Markers for cardiometabolic disorders also improved in office workers, healthcare workers, and construction workers. But what about work performance? Despite spending 1 hour per week at work of work time exercising or more, none of the 15 studies found a decrease in job performance. So there's 15 studies done across different work job sites. In fact, some of the trials, there were 8% less in productivity, 8% increase in productivity, and productivity tended to increase as neck and shoulder pain improved and as strength measurements improved. So let me say that again. In some of the trials, there was an 8% increase in productivity, and productivity tended to increase as neck and shoulder pain improved and as strength measurements improved. Hey, when you have less pain and when you feel stronger, you're going to do better at work and you're going to enjoy your work more. Remember that the more people participated, the better their pain got and the better their improvements in pain and the more productivity improved. Exercise is more than just medicine. And as we would say, it's your competitive advantage. So thank you, Dr. Mercer, for finding those great articles. But if you have any questions regarding these, so right, the first study was about 5%, and these can be actually considered blind spots for us, right? Like we are unaware that our health is contagious. The way I am on camera here, I love being in person more, but it's contagious, right? So 5% of that leadership staff meditated. Everyone else around them didn't know they were meditating, yet their mental health improved. That's significant. The second article was about mindfulness-based intervention, and it helped with managers struggle with collaboration, the stress that they experience, other people's emotions, prioritizing, productivity, all of that, right? Improve that significantly. And then the third one was over different blue collar, white collar jobs in Denmark, that people's productivity and their experience with pain and their improved strength impacted their productivity, even if they spent 1 to 3 hours a week exercising. So if you're worried about your organization's productivity or their overall well-being and your company's ability to grow, you need to give them the space to train, the flexibility to exercise, give them those resources, right? But you yourself as the leader, this is the gap that we've seen in our company, MovementRx. You yourself as the leader have to set that example. You got to be the first one to get out there and pump that iron. Get out and do those walkie meetings, right? Have people see you training. Have people see you meditating. Well, actually, you can have them see you meditating so you can set the example for them. But by just you meditating, you're going to show up as a better version of yourself. So I would love to hear what you take from this research that we just shared, and what you think you can implement now in your life. If you're a non-meditator or don't practice mindfulness, which mindfulness is the practice of being aware and present in any given moment, meditation is the practice of helping you do that, strengthening that skill. Exercise. How many of you get at least 120 minutes of moderate intensity exercise in a week, or 8,000 to 12,000 steps? If you're not, right, your longevity is going to be impacted by that, your quality of life, your pain levels. How much more productive would you be if you had less pain levels, if you had more strength? How much more confident would you be? Right? Exercise can actually improve competence and confidence significantly. But again, here's some key takeaways. You as the leader can't expect other people to do that around you if you don't do it yourself. As a Marine officer, I couldn't expect my Marines to perform and be physically fit and do their job well if I didn't show up for them and be physically fit and actually know what I was doing as an engineer. Now, I had to learn a lot from them too. It was a two-way street, but I actually just show up and show I cared and live and be the way I wanted them to be, right? Be the change I wanted to see, and or find someone who could help. but I had to take part. I couldn't just sit back, right, in my high office or corner office, which I didn't have really a corner office anyway in the Marines. So number one, you have to be the example for your people. What do you want to see in your company, in your family? You be that example. The second thing is, now it's your responsibility to provide resources for your people in their research around behavior change. Giving them flexibility matters, right? Google has everything possible an organization needs to be healthy. Yet giving the biggest piece of impact for them was giving them the flexibility of when they utilize their gyms, when they exercise, versus having it be a 9 to 5 day and they only could do it at noon. Giving people flexibility matters. So you have to give your people opportunity. So making sure that they see you out there doing it too, but then giving them the opportunity and saying, here, I am allowing you 3 hours of your work week to do this on work time. And you won't lose productivity. Actually, most likely you'll increase productivity and you'll have happier people. But the other thing is people need to take action too, right? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. So that's why giving people flexibility matters. But the other key component is making it if you're new to taking this on, and actually we know that 87% of executives, leadership teams know that well-being is an important part of their growth. Yet only like 32 to 37% are doing anything about it. And how effective are those 32 to 37%? Well, I'll tell you what, if this is new for you and you know you need to implement it or want to implement this to a more advanced level, then have there be a launch point, like a special occasion around a launch of a program or a new initiative versus it just being another normal day. That's why people love making New Year's resolutions or making changes around their birthday or on Mondays, right? The first of the month. This new beginning type approach and behavior change is really important. So if you want to create a change in your company, create a launch point, right? What is that launch point? Let's say it's March 1st. March 1st, I'm going to provide a safe space for everyone to go and meditate. And I want you to spend an hour of your week in that room, meditation room, or meditating or exercising, whatever it is. Pick one thing, one well-being initiative, and create a launch around it. And that will help a ton. Not everyone's going to take advantage of it, right? But giving them the flexibility to do so matters. Your example matters, and providing them the resource matters. And then it's up to them to show up. But according to behavior change research, that launch point, that new beginning can help a ton, as well as flexibility of schedule. So to recap, right, I gave a little bit of my personal story of the early days of Movement RX, low clarity, didn't work with people who wanted to work with military veterans, had to transition my entire staff, and also sold my PT practice to be able to do what we're doing now, which is leadership well-being, corporate wellness in the government space, as well as business to business. Right. So I shared that story. It's a vulnerable story, actually. Looking back, I could totally have a fixed mindset around it, but I've grown because of that experience, and I'm thankful for it, because we would not be where we are today with as much clarity had we not experienced that. I gave you a research article around the social contagion, the impact of meditation, leaders meditating on their people, and people not even knowing their leaders were meditating. The other one was on mindfulness-based intervention and how it helped decrease the stress of managers, as well as the third one was exercise, giving people the chance during their work week to exercise, actually improve productivity, decrease pain, improve function. So what would that look like in your company? First of all, where do you need to set the example? And where can you create a launch point for a new beginning for your organization in one well-being initiative? Because of what we learned today, make it in mindfulness, meditation, or exercise. One of those three. Start with that. And when are you going to launch it? How is it going to work? And you set the example first, provide the resource for your people, and run with it. Let us know how you do. And if you do need help with that, reach out. And if you as a leader, because we work with organizations all the time on impacting change over the course of a year on their leadership and well-being, right? We set up programs just like I just spoke about. Now, the other side of the coin is We have a retreat coming up in May. For those leaders that need a launch point for themselves or a new beginning, check out our retreat in May. That could be a great start for you. It's 4 days long at a beautiful castle in Colorado Springs. And I myself, John McCaskill, and Will Schneider will be leading it. We'll be your guides. We look forward to seeing you. Let us know how this live went for you, and we will see you next month. And look out for the newsletter. Have a good one, everyone.